All right, guys, this is an unboxing and review of the Pittsburg 1,500-pound steel ATV and motorcycle lift. This comes from Harbor Freight. They have two different versions of their motorcycle lifts. One is a steel version, which is the one we're going to take a look at today. And then they've got the pretty aluminum version that does cost about twice as much. In this scenario, I opted for the steel version. The main reason I went for that was the level of accessibility underneath the bike. So if you wanted to get to something like the drain plug, you could do that with this one because it doesn't block your access, whereas the window to access on the aluminum version is pretty small. So be able to do anything around the drain plug would be pretty difficult with the aluminum version. Although it does look, it is pretty. It's a prettier jack. But it's also costs twice as much, has the same weight rating, and also limits your access to under the bike. So although I do think it will lift a little higher. So this one has a minimum height of 5.5 inches, a maximum height of 17 inches, at least advertised, and then a weight capacity of 1,500 pounds. 1,500 pounds going to lift just about any motorcycle that you would take off of the market today, although some of your heavier bikes getting up to 950, closer to inching up to 1,000 pounds. I'd be probably still a little bit skittish, but your standard bagger and touring bike is going to be somewhere in that 850, 900 pound range. So that's going to be perfectly within the range of this lift. So without further ado, let's go ahead and open this sucker up. Let's see what we got. The box had a little bit of damage in it. So this has not been opened previously, so you guys are getting real time. Looks like we've got our handle. We've got our instructions, literature. We've got our handle for what I believe to be our physical safety. This is what you guys will see if you guys purchase this lift. This will be the process you go to. Okay, so now we have our hydraulic lift here. Let's keep going. Cardboard, 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 and cardboard. And looks like, and more cardboard. And this one has a decent amount of sand in it for some reason. I don't know why that's there, but it looks like I can go ahead and lift the rest of this out of here. Oh, and then we have our foot pump. So let's go ahead and kick this out of the way. Put this back down on the ground. And then we have our foot pump over here. I don't know if you guys can hear all that sand that's in that box. I don't know why that's in there, but we've got our foot pump as well. So that's the pieces you get. So all in all, out of the box, in terms of assembly, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. 5 total pieces that you need to assemble. Everything else is together. That's not too bad. Hey everybody. So we're back. We've got the jack together. We've actually got it underneath the bike. What I've found is that it will go under the Victory, but not really if you want to put a shim where you need it. So what I did is I actually put the kickstand on a 2x6, so that actually raised it up enough for me to get a little bit of a shim in a spot that I'll show you here shortly. That helps keep the bike level. So it does go in 5.5 inches is what it's rated for. If you look on the website, it actually says less than that. But what I found is that I think it says 4 something, which is incorrect. And I'll post a picture in the video that actually shows the exact height so you guys can see it. As well as the width of the platform. So the handle, and this is where the review part comes into play. So the handle's really loose. I'm not a huge fan, not that you really need that to be tight. Really, you're not using this for a lot other than just dragging it around. So we don't really care about that too much. We can actually raise and lower our locking bar, and then we can use our pedal here to start raising it. So when we raise it, it does go up pretty consistently. You can see the bike come up. And here we go. We're starting to get the bike up. And this works pretty well. You can kind of get your foot in there, you can raise your bar, and then I can use the release valve. When you use that, a lot of folks are talking about how it just drops the bike. I'm not experiencing that with this truck, so I will tap it. And it goes against the locking bars pretty easily. I'm not seeing the bike drop and slam to the floor like some folks are talking about, although even with the release pedal steadily depressed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and raise this up all of the way, and we're going to drop it all of the way so you guys can see that. Now make sure that when you do this that you keep the kickstand out the entire time, never putting that kickstand in, because that is your insurance on the other side of the bike. So we've raised up entirely, and that bike's pretty dang stable. So I've looked at videos of and I looked at the aluminum Harbor Freight jack, the one that looks a little prettier than this one, and actually matches my car jack. It's blue, it's pretty, it looks great. But when I see those videos and you put those bikes on there, that thing is waving all over the place. So I don't really feel comfortable with that. So I went with the steel jack for stability primarily. But as I go around here, you can see that we are all the way up significantly off the ground on both sides. Now you can also see right here on the back, I placed a 1/2 inch wooden shim, and that's because there is actually a high spot on the Victory Cross Country that you'll have to contend with. You can raise it without that, but you'll notice pretty quickly that it's not as stable and that it actually will move around a little bit on you without that there. You put a little 1/2 inch shim in there and it is rock solid. So that's what I've opted to do there. That's the only place that I've placed a shim. All in all, first use, it is quite stable. I'm not concerned about the bike heavily, although Harbor Freight doesn't necessarily give everyone rock solid confidence, but this jack seems to be fairly well made, at least in terms of stability. So let's go ahead and drop the bike down so you guys can see how that looks. They've got a little pin that you can use to hold the bar up, so the safety bar. So we're going to raise it up a little bit. We're going to take our bar, we're going to drop it back into the little catch so it keeps that up. It does tend to drop down halfway through, so it'll typically catch on that first one again, and I'll have to raise it up again. But let's go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and depress it. Actually, I'll do a few taps here so you can see the tap. That was bucking and jumping actually a little bit, but I didn't like that. That's the first time it's bucked and jumped like that. It did catch on the first latch, as I said it would. Let's try that again. So you guys saw that bucking and jumping there. Wasn't a huge fan of that. Let's try this again on a high setting. Again, always have your kickstand out. That's your safety. Okay, so we are up. So let's go ahead and drop the bike. And I've got it fully depressed here so you can see that go down. And that again went down to the first setting. So the bar does tend to catch there on the way down. Okay, so I can go back up a little bit, press my bar the rest of the way, and we can go back down the rest of the way. A little bit of bucking and jumping here. Nothing too difficult to contend with. And we're back on the kickstand. Let's only go up to the second setting. Okay, we're gonna go up to the second and not all the way up. Okay, so we are high enough for the second setting. Now let's try it again. All right. So that it does buck and jump a decent amount. Okay guys, so that's apparently what you can expect with that release, is it does want to buck and jump on you a little bit. And also you want to have a good hold on that bike as you're bringing it down to make sure it doesn't pop towards you. Make sure you keep your weight forward and use that kickstand when you're using this jack. All right, so let's pull it, go ahead and pull it out. We are on our kickstand. Let me pop it back up. Let's show you guys that shim that I popped in there. I just cut that out of some spare wood I had sitting around. That seemed to work okay. So let's weigh the pros and cons of this lift and ultimately decide whether it's recommended. For the pros, the first up has to be price. Harbor Freight is known for providing tools that get the job done, but maybe don't have the extra frills or won't go the extra mile. Lifting was quite predictable. I had no concerns on the way up. Last up, it's sturdy. Once the bike was up on the lift, I had no concerns if I was going to leave that there for a day or even a week. For the cons, first up has to be lowering of the bike. This was not a predictable process. Each time I hit the pedal, it seemed to have a slightly different response depending on the height of the bike as well as how long I was depressing it. So very unpredictable, so be careful when you're lowering it. And last up has to be fit and finish. As for the verdict, this tool will get the job done. You can raise your bike, it can hold it up, you can do the work that you need to do. This tool will not break the bank. With all of those factors, I would recommend this jack for casual DIY use, which is how I plan to use it. And last but not least, be careful on the way down. If you have a friend nearby, have them come over and help support the bike. It'll help prevent a mishap. And with that, thanks for watching.
I'm so gone, no I'm never turning back. I won't